Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. I have been doing a bunch of decluttering and like deep cleaning since the new year started, and I pulled all of my Pyrex fireking into the dining room because I'm going to do some reorganizing, and I thought this would be the perfect time to share my small collection. So we'll start at the beginning. This is the Pyrex Primary Colors Mixing Bowl set. I believe this is the very first like non-clear Pyrex that was made. So I did get all these pieces separate, but the yellow piece at the bottom, I found that at my mom's. She had actually purchased it for like 50 cents at a yard sale, she told me, which I thought was incredible because that was not that long ago. But now it's like, you know, more special to me because she's not here anymore. And I did thrift the green and red one at separate times. And then this blue one is super special. I just use these clear deli containers to stack my Pyrex. They work really well. The blue one is super special because this actually was my grandma's. She got it in 1952 when she got married. And she was still using it too, but she gave it to me. And she told me what she uses it for, or what she used it for, was putting like water in it and putting it in the oven when she's baking cakes. I don't know if that keeps it moist or something, but super special that she gave it to me even though she was still using it. So for that reason alone, I will probably never get rid of these primary colors, even though they're not my favorite, but they just have like sentimental value now. So then I do have a few of the small refrigerator dishes. I think these are half a cup. I'm by no means an expert, but this red one actually also belonged to my grandma, which she gave to me. I don't think she was using it anymore, but they used to use it as a butter dish. And this one actually is like made in Canada. I think this is the only piece of Pyrex that I have that says that. And if you're unfamiliar, I do live in Canada, but all of my Pyrex is just from US. So I believe this green one is from the Verde set. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I think I recently just got this one for Christmas, so I recently showed it in my Christmas haul, but I'm excited about that. And the pink one, I'm guessing this may be from Gooseberry. I actually thrifted this for $1.50 at the thrift store I used to work at, which was incredible. This is the only one that I have that came with a lid in terms of refrigerator dishes, but I would love to get these small ones, especially in a bunch of colors, and do a fun display. So then I also have this refrigerator dish, and I believe, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure these are from the Verde collection. But like I said, I'm not a Pyrex expert by any means, so I could be wrong about that. But this is another one that I just got for Christmas. So I believe it came with the big one, which I have here, and then you got that size and then two small ones, if I'm not mistaken, and that was like considered the set. And these all came with lids as well, but they didn't come with lids. Aside from the missing lids though, I think they're in really, really great shape. Like there's barely any, if any at all, scratches or anything on them. So then we have another piece from the Verde collection. I hope I'm saying that right. I love these, especially the lids with the olives on them. I just think it's so pretty. Now, how I have these displayed, you can't really see the lids, so I'm trying to think of something different to do, which is why I have all the Pyrex kind of out in the dining room while I do some decluttering in the kitchen, but I love them. I have seen people like hang the lids on the walls, and I think that looks pretty, but I don't think I have the space for that. So I have the casserole dish, and then I have this bigger dish, which is actually the divided dish. The divided dishes are some of my favorite Pyrex pieces. And John actually gave me both of these pieces a few years ago at Christmas time, and I think he found them on Facebook Marketplace, like relatively inexpensive. So then I have this stack of miscellaneous Cinderella bowls. So I just kind of keep them stacked together because they kind of go together. So the bottom one I'm also going to assume is from a Verde set of Cinderella bowls, but I could be wrong about that. So just in case, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a Pyrex expert at all. I don't know like all of the patterns and the names of them and the numbers and stuff. I was going to put that info in, but I don't care about it personally, and I feel like if anybody else cares, they probably already know exactly what the numbers are and all that, but I just thought I would find the pattern names and then the dates that they were produced. So then the second bowl is Spring Blossom. I believe this is Spring Blossom 2 because they released it in 2 different iterations, and I believe this is the second one. So love Spring Blossom. And then I just have this white one, which who knows what this one is from, but it kind of, they all just kind of size-wise and kind of color-wise went together. So I've just been stacking those ones together for a few years now. And then I also have a couple of the Pyrex compatibles for the Corelle Spring Blossom dinnerware. So I've got the gravy boat, which I believe John gave this to me as well as a gift. And I think he just found this on Facebook Marketplace, or like I found it and told him about it. And then I also have the butter dish, which I love as well. And I believe these both are from the first iteration of Spring Blossom. And I know this pattern is also referred to as Crazy Daisy, but I'm pretty sure that the proper name is Spring Blossom. So then we've got Town and Country. Town and Country is one of my favorite patterns from Pyrex. I do have a couple of pieces of that. So I have this casserole dish, which I believe I found at a thrift store years ago. I don't think it was very expensive. This is probably more than like 5 years ago. And if you've watched my kitchen tour, you'll know like this pattern along with the green ones really like fit in with my kitchen vibe and very like late 60s, early 70s vibe. That is a 1.5 quart casserole. And then I have another piece. This one I actually just recently purchased. It's the divided casserole dish. I actually had forgot because I had just purchased it recently, and you can still see the tag is still on it for $10. It was like in a random cupboard, and I was like, oh, I remembered purchasing it when I saw it, but I completely forgot about it because it was during holidays. Then we've got Forest Fancies. I feel like not that many people like the like browns and Forest Fancy ones, but I actually love the Forest Fancies. My mom got married in 1980, and she actually had the homestead, which is the same kind of background, but it had the blue design. I can't quite remember what it was. So they have that kind of nostalgic feel for me. I think she had the Cinderella bowls. And then but I love like that 70s, early 80s, and I have a lot of mushroom stuff in my kitchen, so these are great. I got both of those bowls for $5 at the thrift store I worked at, which is amazing. And then I've got this promotional piece that I just got for Christmas this year, which is commonly, I think, referred to as like pine cones, but I looked it up, and I guess the proper name is Holiday, and it was released in 1960. It does have quite a few like scratches and marks on kind of like the bottom part of the design, but I feel like when you display it, you can't really see it that well. Also, this came with a different lid, and it also came with a cradle, I believe. Overall, it's in pretty good shape, and John just gave this to me for Christmas this year, so I would have just recently showed you guys, but I thought I would include it in this video anyway. So then we have some fireking. I have quite a few pieces in this collection, this like Meadow Green, I believe it's called, and this very much fits in with like the avocado 70s theme of my kitchen, which is great. So I have this casserole dish with a lid. I believe I bought that at the thrift store I worked at for like 10, which I thought was kind of expensive at the time, but and then I also have a loaf pan in that, and then I also have these two like kind of smaller casserole dishes. I actually use these dishes. I don't really use the Pyrex very much, but I do use my fireking, so I don't have them displayed typically. They're just in the cupboard, but these pans here are the perfect size for my like gluten-free lasagna noodles, so that's mainly what I use these two for, is making lasagnas. But I like that I can make one ahead of time and just put it in the freezer, and I can also like just bake it right from the freezer. So then we've got Candle Glow. This is another one of my favorite patterns from fireking, and I've mentioned this before, but I feel like I'm in the minority, but I think that fireking and Glass Bake had a lot cuter patterns than Pyrex. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do love Pyrex too, but so I have 2 loaf pans in this pattern, and as well as these 2, I think they're like 8x8 casserole dishes. I make a lot of squares in these. I feel like that's what I use these mostly for, is making like squares, but I do use these, so I don't typically display them. I just have them in the cupboard. And then I've got a piece of JAJ Pyrex, which is from England. I love this pattern. I only just learned the name of it when I was looking it up for this video, but I would love to find more of that. Sorry, the ring light is like just reflecting every time I try to show the bottoms. And the lid, I wasn't sure if the lid was the original lid, but it is a JAJ lid. It's just the lid almost looks bigger than like it sticks out. So I don't know if it's supposed to be like that or if it's from a different casserole, but it did come together, and I thrifted this years ago. I don't even remember how long. Then I've got this pattern, which is one of my favorites. I would love to find more of this pattern. This is Fireking, I believe. I don't think this is the original lid that came with it, but I just use it for stacking. But I love this pattern so much. I think it's super fun. This is like a perfect example of like a cuter than Pyrex pattern, I guess you could say. I thrifted this one years ago very inexpensively, as well as the next one I'm about to show you, which has a strawberry pattern. This one is actually unmarked on the bottom, aside from just saying like oven proof, microwave safe. So the fact that it says microwave leads me to believe it can't be too old, but I have no idea. I've tried looking this up online. I think I found one photo of the same thing, but it didn't actually say a brand. So if anybody out there knows what this is or what brand it is, I would love to know. I'm just showing you the bottom here. You can just see it says that and made in USA, but there's no brand on it at all. So I'm not sure. Maybe it's Glass Bake, maybe it's Fireking, but maybe it's like some other random brand. I don't know, but I think it's super pretty, so I'm gonna hold on to it. And then this is how I usually keep these stacked. I think they look pretty together, so I usually keep those stacked like that. Then I have this, it's called Maid of Honor, that's what's on the back of it, or like the bottom. I believe this was sold by Sears. I've definitely determined that. I don't know like the age, like when this was produced or not. I'd never seen it or heard of it before, but my mom actually found this when we were thrifting together. When I was looking for Pyrex, she walked over and said, "What about this?" And I was like, "Oh, that's so pretty." So it's not even, it doesn't really go with my kitchen at all anymore, but I can't bring myself to get rid of it because now it just has that special like sentimental that, you know, my mom found it. So I'll probably just keep it. I do really like it. I would like to find more pieces, like maybe complete. It looks like this would be like a Cinderella style bowl. But here's the bottom. It doesn't actually say Sears or anything on the bottom, but I'm like 99% sure it was from Sears and like their brand. I do also have a few pieces of just like clear glass. I have this loaf pan. This feels pretty old to me, but I'm not sure the age of any of these really. I did just thrift them all though. So we've got the loaf pan, which I use quite a bit, and then I have two different sized pie plates or pie dishes. Pie plate, is that right? I don't know why it doesn't sound right. And then I also have this like Jello mold, although I don't know if it was like originally intended to be a Jello mold, but I believe this was like late 70s, early 80s. I just noticed while I was filming that it's made in France. I don't know what the significance of that is, or if they all were. I don't know. I've seen a picture of the box of this and it looks very 80s to me, and it's advertised sort of as like a microwave cooking thing, so I don't know. I've actually never used it, but I've had it for a long time. I found it thrifting for I think only like $2 or $3. So then I do also have the Pyrex 9-cup percolator that I use pretty frequently. I love it. I just love how a cup of coffee tastes coming out of this. And my grandma had one of these when I was growing up, so it's very nostalgic. And then I do also have the teapot. I feel like this might be like 6 cup, I'm not sure, that I use sometimes, but not as much as the coffee maker. I do also have the cracker barrel and the cookie jar. I actually have 2 cookie jars. I have like an extra one that I just keep my cookie cutters in. And then right next to that, up at the very top of the cupboard, I do have a couple of pieces of the fireking tulips. The bigger bowl broke, but I glued it back together. And then it's the grease jar at the top there. You can't really see the lid. And then just one of the shakers, but it's missing the lid. And then I do also have a couple of Pyrex compatible See and Store, I think they're called, that goes with my Spice of Life collection, which I shared a few months ago. I also almost forgot, but I do have a few pieces of the restaurant ware. So I have this bowl, and then I have 2 of these kind of like oval plates. I used to work in a 1950s diner as a waitress, so these give me like so much nostalgia. We didn't actually have Pyrex dishes there, but they were like basically the exact same design. So anyway, that is my small-ish Pyrex collection. I was thinking it was small, but once I got it all together, it is actually more. And of course, some of it is fireking, but for the most part, it's Pyrex. I don't know. Like I said, I actually kind of prefer fireking designs and glass baked designs over Pyrex, but I'm just kind of deciding what to do. Like if I want to sell some of it, or I don't know, I'm just doing a bunch of like decluttering and reorganizing. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you have any info on that strawberry piece, please feel free to leave below, because it's been bothering me for such a long time. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you again soon.